A few years ago, I spent an entire weekend playing on my computer, consuming a lot of ephedra and coffee, and not sleeping much. Occasionally, I would feel an itch on my arms, similar to a loose hair brushing against my skin. I would brush it off and return to my screen. As the itching became more frequent, I began to wonder if it was just my imagination or a result of the tea and insomnia. Then, I noticed what looked like tiny spiders crawling on my arms. Am I going crazy? Are these drug-induced hallucinations? I returned my focus to the computer, but then I spotted thin strands of web glistening in the light and tiny spiders drifting past my vision. They were real. I discovered a hole in the ceiling from which they appeared to be falling. I sprayed the hole with wasp spray, and hundreds of tiny spiders began pouring out, streaming from their webs and crawling all over me. One night, after work, I walked out to my front stoop and walked straight into a massive spider web. At first, I didn't think much of it until I looked down and saw 20 or 30 baby spiders all over me. I started panicking and noticed the enormous parent spiders sitting on my door, nearly the size of my hand. Naturally, I didn't want to use the front door. I rushed to the back door, stripped off my clothes, and jumped in the shower, watching as the spiders fell out of my hair. If you like this video, please subscribe the channel and like the video. Also, comment the scariest part of the video and share it with a friend. On another occasion, I got home late, and my phone was about to die. I always plugged it into the outlet under my bed. I collapsed onto my bed and reached under to find my phone charger, but instead, I discovered a squishy sack. I poked and squeezed it, only to feel hundreds of tiny legs crawling up my arm. I pulled my arm out and screamed when I saw about 30 baby spiders climbing on me. I shook them off, told my parents, and jumped into the shower. It turned out to be a sack of baby spiders, and there was an even larger mother spider living under my bed. One night, I awoke from a deep sleep feeling something large crawling around in my bed. Still half asleep, I jumped out in a panic, assuming it was a spider. With a swift motion, I flung the covers off, but nothing was there. I began to think it was part of a dream and went back to sleep. The following night, I felt the same sensation, this time on my arms. I jumped out of bed again, still in a state of confusion, and ran to my parents' room to get my dad. He wasn't afraid of spiders, so he came to my room and checked. There was nothing there. I was convinced it was related to my dreams, or that something was wrong with me since there was no spider in my bed. However, the next night, the feeling returned. This time, when I flung off the covers, I was met by the sight of the largest spider I had ever seen, bigger than a tarantula. It quickly crawled under my bed, and I screamed, rushing to tell my dad again. This all happened while I was staying with my grandma for the weekend. My uncle lived with her, and I sometimes stayed over to work with him for some extra money. After a long day of work, I collapsed into the rickety old guest bed upstairs. I watched TV for about 10 minutes before deciding to sleep. It was a hot night, and as I flipped my pillow to the cooler side, I felt something furry pressing against my face instead of the soft pillow. I jumped up and saw a giant huntsman spider sitting on my pillow. I fell to the other side of the bed, and the shaking startled it, causing it to dart away. Where it went, I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure it's still lurking in my grandma's house.